Welcome to the Web Hosting Cat Podcast, brought to you by webhostingcat.com. Here's your host, Michael James.
Hi, everyone. On this episode of the podcast, it's my great pleasure to have as our guest the well-known WordPress evangelist, who's also the VP of Products at Liquid Web, Chris Lema. If you're a WordPress blogger or WooCommerce site owner, then you definitely want to listen to our interview. There's a reason why Chris Lema is the most popular speaker at WordCamp conferences and is one of the most respected members of the WordPress community. We'll get his advice on blogging, his take on the future of WordPress, and find out all about the exciting new managed WooCommerce hosting product he and his team at Liquid Web have developed that can actually speed up your online store by 50% or even much more. I began the interview by asking Chris what his number one tip is for bloggers that want to become as successful as he is.
So it's always hard to make, to advise someone and say, hey, if you do what I did, it'll work because, different people and different times, different dynamics. But I think the tip I give most people the most often and has the most, power is it's all about consistency. All right. So if you're going to say I write 2 times a week, then write 2 times a week. If you're going to say I write 4 times a week, then write 4 times a week. But consistently deliver that, because when you do, and when you create that consistent schedule that people can get to, you're delivering trust, right? Mm-hmm. And that trust is what allows people then to say, I'm going to read again, I'm going to read again. It means you get more content, but it also means they develop a trust for your voice and respect for you, right? Mm-hmm. And so I wrote, 7 days a week for 3 years straight, and it's what really kind of built my brand.
What changes have you seen in the blogging world since you started? And has your approach changed at all since you started, or are you basically doing the same thing?
Yeah. So I think the biggest change is Google. Google used to be this situation where, you just wrote and Google was like, thank you for writing and we'll just give you authority. And Google's model for understanding where authority comes from and who respects what and what they're looking for has really shifted for the better to focus on user intent, right? What's the user trying to do? Mm-hmm. But because of that shift to user intent, it shifted to topic clusters, right? So I'm getting ready to launch Chris Lema all over again, chrislema.com, and start writing more consistently there again after kind of 2 or 3 years of taking it a little slower. And now the writing's totally different because I have to write in clusters, right? You write one larger, not super long, but one larger topic point, but then all these clusters around it that answer other slight variations of that question, right? So if someone says, I want to use, why should I be thinking about, image compression? And you go, oh, I'm going to answer that, but I'm also going to do image compression for e-commerce and image compression this other way. And should I be doing image compression when I'm a photographer? And you're answering all these different questions that are loosely related, but also connected to different audiences, all in that cluster and then linked to each other. And Google looks at the links coming into even the edge nodes and looks at that for the whole value of the cluster and goes, okay, now I see that you have authority, right? Mm-hmm. So it has changed, right? And that affects how we think about how we write content.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious as to what you think about, where do you see WordPress going in the next 5 years?
So we're right at the cusp of WordPress shifting over to the Scoutenburg model. And that's, if it's done wrong, it could kill it all, right? If it's done right, it could open the doors dramatically, right? When it is fundamentally, it's like a rewrite of the platform, right? People don't talk about it that way. They're like, oh, it's a new editor. You're like, no. The idea, the model here is that every single thing in WordPress is going to be a block, which means the way in which you interact with one block is the way you'd interact with another block. Well, when you think about it that way, then you go, wait, that means that how I treat ads is the same way I treat content, which is not how it works today, right? We shove ads to the side, but you're like, if I can do conditional dynamic display of ads like I do conditional dynamic display of content, and if I can insert ads anywhere I can insert content, I have a completely different model, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's a fundamental change to how WordPress works. And if that takes off, if that's done right and it takes off, we could see all sorts of future publishing models, all sorts of future kinds of products that sit on top of that, right? Cool. So it opens the door for a lot. It just has to be done right.
Now, one of your other duties is you're now Vice President of Products at Liquid Web. We talked earlier this year with John Labruto, who's on the affiliate side over there. Talked a lot about the company, and we know some of the other people on your team. friend of the podcast who's been on here, Jason Cusp.
Yep.
Yeah. Talk about a little bit about the mission of the team over there and what your vision, your goals are, particularly with regard to WordPress users.
Yep. So I came on about 18 months ago, and 18 months ago there was almost no effort or work around WordPress or WooCommerce, right? And so part of what I came on to do was build a product team and to have that team dedicated to focus on not only WordPress, but the thing we just recently launched was manage WooCommerce hosting, right? So that team's focus is to build out this new platform. And because there was no managed WooCommerce platform before then, you're making it up, right? Like the question is, well, what is a managed WooCommerce platform? Don't manage WordPress hosts already let you install WooCommerce? And you're like, yeah, but that's not what a managed platform should be in the WooCommerce world, right? So it should mean more, it should do more, and so that's what we spent time doing. So everybody's focus is the same in that realm. It's a focus on how do we build the best and the new definition of what managed WooCommerce hosting looks like.
Chris, what are some of the sticking points that a typical WooCommerce user might run into that you guys really addressed with your managed WooCommerce product?
So one of the biggest is reporting, right? I mean, reporting is one of those pieces where you're like, if I use the WooCommerce native reporting in the thing, first of all, I don't get a lot of data. But if I do get data, it means I'm making my store slower by asking it to run all those queries, right? So that's not good for my customers. But then if I want to know certain questions, right, show me all the customers who've bought with coupons. It's like, well, I don't know how to do that, right? That's not what I do. And so one of the things we went out to do was build a partnership with Glue. That's GLEW.io. And with Glue, we work to bring all that auto segmentation and all that reporting into the platform. So reporting was one of them. Maybe the other biggest one that we spent a lot of time on was speed, right? Customers, the average WooCommerce store loads in 4 to 6 seconds. And you go, that's just too slow, right? But it's not necessarily WooCommerce's fault. It's often the developers that built the site or the store owners that worked on the site and all the things they did without paying attention to speed, right? And so we have a sample site, for example, that we test out every day. We did a lot of performance testing. And that sample site has 9,000 products. It has a good-looking theme. It has images and multiple images. It has the ability to zoom in on those images. It has full descriptions on the bodies. It has related products. And that whole site, every page that you're loading in, loads in about 0.7 seconds each.
Great.
And you go, well, that's not 4 seconds, right? And you go, okay, I want that. So speed and reporting were the first two big ones we tackled. And then we layered on abandoned carts. We did a partnership with Jilt so that you could get those customers back, right? By getting them back, that gives you the opportunity to generate more revenue, right? You were leaving money on the ground. So those are three of the big ones that we said, let's go make sure that these are solved by the time we launch.
Let's see. Now, for those that are interested in getting a first-hand look at Liquid Web's WooCommerce hosting, they can actually schedule a demo on the Liquid Web
website. Yep. Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
And we also have another feature. It's not just so you can schedule a demo, right? We have something called the 15-day performance challenge. The 15-day performance challenge is a program where the customer lets us make a copy of their website onto our platform, right? So they give us the creds. We make a pseudo migration. We make a copy of the store. It's not a functioning store. We're not going to deter any traffic or anything else. We just make a copy of the store to our server. And then our team goes and does a series of optimizations. And at each optimization, it tracks the performance difference. And we do it in less than 15 days, but we commit that within 15 days, we'll have a meeting with you and we'll show you. And we've done hundreds of these now. And in every single case, the time has dropped by a minimum 50% and sometimes a ridiculous drop, right? You get a store that starts at 12-second loads and ends at 2-second loads, and they're like, oh my God, what'd you do? And you're like, I'm going to show you what we did, right? I'm going to show you what we did with this. We show you what we did with this. And we walk it all through. And we do one, so one of the things we do is we change out your theme, but we do that after the fact. So we go, okay, we took a site from 12 seconds and we got it down to 4, right? And they go, oh my God, that's perfect. That's great. And you go, okay, but I want to show you one, this is one extra, right? The whole, well, how much would you pay? Don't answer yet. You're like, we did one more thing. We're not saying you would do this, but we changed your theme, right? We changed your theme to one of the themes we include with every client. And we changed it there. And by the way, that took it from 4 seconds to 2 seconds. And they go, but it doesn't look the same. And you're like, no, you're right, it doesn't. But it also just changed the performance, cut the performance by half, right? And And some people, right, go, no, I want my slower site at 4 seconds. But others are like, oh, I didn't realize that my theme was doing that much to affect my pace, right? And so they're like, oh, that looks fine, right? That looks like that's not a big deal. Okay, let's go. And so we've seen that change too, right? So, but if you take a 12-second store and bring it to 6, or take a 6-second store and bring it down to 2, it is dramatic for that store's benefit, right? In terms of people clicking and browsing and hanging out, right? It's dramatically different. So we have a option on the website to do a demo, but we also have an option to sign up for the 15-day challenge.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, listen, I really want to thank you for spending some time with us. And any bloggers out there, you got to check it out, chrislema.com. And for you e-commerce website owners, check out the WooCommerce managed hosting at Liquid Web. It's awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, man.
Take care.
All right. And I really want to thank Chris again for being gracious enough to take some time out of his busy schedule to chat with us. If you ever get the chance to attend one of his presentations at a conference, definitely go and learn from the best. And be sure to check out his blog at chrislema.com. And also for more details on Liquid Web's managed WooCommerce hosting, check out my review at webhostingcat.com. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Michael James wishing you all the very best with your website endeavors. Thanks a lot for listening and take care.
You've been listening to the Web Hosting Cat podcast. The preceding program is copyrighted 2018 by Tux Cat Media.